Welcome to another episode of Edelbrock Live. This is Eric, and again here with Eddie. Today we're going to talk about the supercharger we have for your 2012 to 17 Jeep Wrangler with a 3.6 liter. This is really a newer addition to our line. I think we've only had it for 2.5 years. As you guys know, anybody that's got a Jeep knows when you start doing those upgrades, you start doing wheels, tires,
yep.
the winch, the lift. You start adding on all these cool things, exoskeletons,
Oh,
all that stuff.
All that weight,
You start adding a lot of weight.
heavy bumpers and all that
Exactly.
kind of stuff. Yep.
And this is not, and the Jeeps to me, they're still beefy and built like they were when they were originally used for the war effort. So I mean, they're a beefy vehicle. So once you got that weight on there, they start to slow down.
Yeah.
So we developed a supercharger for 3.6 liter that makes 307. Oh, sorry.
No, the Pentastar engine.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Pentastar.
Yeah. Sorry.
Makes 317 rear wheel horsepower and 277 rear wheel torque. So this really wakes it up. As you can see here on the graph, you can see the lower number here. So here's your I should say stock horsepower, and then with the E-Force Supercharger, and then stock torque, E-Force Supercharger. So it adds a lot of kind of that low end torque. You can see too how it really comes in high and really gets that torque curve going really good down low. That's what makes a heavy vehicle move.
Really smooths out the torque curve as well. You have a little bit of a dip right here, right around 4,000 RPMs. It really smooths everything out. It just gives you that extra power.
Well, once again, it's the guys that here at Edelbrock do the calibration do a great job of really just making great drivability, smoothing it out. So we're really excited about this. This has been one of our, actually the last 2 years, one of our top sellers, which is crazy when you think about Edelbrock, who's this domestic V8 kind of presence. That's what we're known for. To then come in with a V6 supercharger.
I mean, we've been making superchargers, what, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, 2008, in 2008 to 2009.
And this already, it's only been around for a couple of years, and it already pretty much surpassed every other supercharger that we manufacture.
So pretty exciting. So you can say it makes good power, and it's also, once again, it's a complete kit. We give you everything you need from preformed hoses, a high flow air filter. This assembly all comes ready to go as you see it here. It's really everything you need, and what's great about it is it's a bolt-on, compact design that fits on the stock hood. No cutting, no welding, nothing extreme in the way of fabrication. There's no fabrication needed.
It's pretty much a bolt-on. I mean, when we say it bolts on right out of the box, it really does. Like Eric was touching on, all the hoses that we were talking about that last week, where all the hoses are all pre-bent. I mean, it's a direct, straight fit. It's pretty awesome.
And utilizes the Eaton 1320 TVS rotor assembly, so that's kind of it's in the mid-range there. Like I said in the previous episodes, we talked about the 900 series, which is kind of the small one we use.
Yep.
And this is the 1320, which is also used on the FRSB or Z kit, just in a different format.
Yeah.
Here, the supercharger's on top, and that one it's inverted underneath just because of that design. But as you can see here too, I mean, this is what it looks like under the hood. It looks great. It's that engine bay. There's a lot going on there.
Yep.
There's not a lot of room to work with, and our engineers did a great job of making it look good, fit in the right place. You can see it just looks like it was meant to be.
Utilizes stock air box. I mean, it looks like an OEM application. It really, really is. And just like an OEM application, it also uses the water-to-air intercooler, so it actually has an intercooler right inside. So the charge there goes through the cooler. It cools down the intake air temps, and of course that makes more power and all that kind of stuff.
And also, the best of all is it's in 50 state emissions legal.
Yep.
So it's completely street legal for you guys. California, that's a big deal. There's another 15 states that have to have that same compliance. So yeah, it's 50 state legal, making, I think if we do the math on that 317 horsepower, if I remember correctly, it's about a 40 to 45% increase in power. I mean, that's huge. That's really kind of waking up a vehicle and getting it moving.
Yeah, once you get those big tires and all that kind of stuff, you start losing that low end torque, and it's just, you have to really wring it out. With this, it pretty much makes it like if it's a bigger engine, it gives you that extra power, whether you're just driving on the road or you're actually going off-roading, it really wakes the car up. Just like all our other kits, the self-contained oil system, it's good for 100,000 miles. So every 100,000 miles, you pretty much take off this cover back here, drain the oil, fill it back up, and you're good to go. It comes with all the calibration. If you buy the tuner kit, it comes with the calibration. It either comes with a tuner, or I believe the 2017s, you send in your PCM, and then we program it for you, and we send it right back out to you. The good part is, like every other supercharger we make, it's all designed, cast, and manufactured here in California. I mean, our engineers are right downstairs. It's cast in our foundry out in what is it?
Hemet. So it's about 90 miles east of here.
Right. And then it's manufactured right here in California and Torrance.
And quality control checks. So most of these, I say most, I can't remember what it is, but I think the superchargers are by far
the highest standard.
The highest standard, just because of the fitment of the rotors, the tolerances, and so they all go through a QC check to make sure that it's spot on.
Yep.
And also they get spun up too as well. So our guys in the back spin up to make sure that everything's working freely, and that way when you get it, you know, there's not going to be an issue.
It's worry-free, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, you know, you still utilize the stock air box, all that kind of stuff. So you really don't have to change any. I mean, it could be a bone stock Jeep and throw this on there, and you're good to go.
And it wakes it up, man.
It really does.
Because we had a JK for a while in our fleet, and it was a test vehicle, and we, of course, we went crazy with it. We put Danas on it, big wheels and tires, and we went nuts with it. And yeah, I couldn't imagine driving that. I drove it for a week. I couldn't imagine driving that Supercharger because it was just been a pig on the freeway. I remember getting on the freeway and just getting in it and having to pass somebody that just blew right by them. It was like, wow, this thing really wakes it up. At the same time, drivability is still the same. So for you guys, you know, we know how it is. Every once in a while, your wife or girlfriend's got to take the Jeep to work or something. She don't even know it's there.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about her spinning out or losing control or anything like that. You know, it really is just. It just adds on to the power. It's just very linear. It's easy to use. It's not intimidating whatsoever. But when you need it, it's there.
We got some questions actually. Mike Baxter's asking, are there any pulley upgrades for a little more boost?
On this one, I believe there is one size that you can go smaller, but we've never really tested it. It's just due to the size of the blower. I think it was somewhere where they couldn't really get too much more out of it. I'm not sure. That would be a question for our engineers.
So yeah, I mean, we do have extra pulleys, but like I said, I think this uses a really small pulley. There's probably only one more size below there.
Yeah.
That's about it. I have another question. Somebody asking about, they'd love to use our parts in the build. Well, reach out to us. You know, we're always helping out builds. I said this one is it's Brett Pratt, and it's a cancer engine build. Send it our way. We'll take a look at it and see. We can't do them all. Yeah. And we'll do what we can, but at the same time, you know, absolutely. No other questions on it. I mean, like I said, it's a great little system. Like I said, I have had Jeeps before, you know, and I wish I had this when I had my Jeep, because my Jeep, I did a few of those upgrades, and it got a little slow. At that time, I just dealt with it, and you know. Yeah,
people don't think about that. You know, once you start modifying the Jeep, I remember when we built ours, you know, we put those heavy bumpers on there and this and that. I mean, the Jeep by itself, it's already a heavy car. And then once you start adding those heavy bumpers, you know, the roll cages, all that kind of stuff, I mean, it really all adds up, and all that rotating, you know, all that mass, it's going to weigh down the car. And this is one of the greatest ways to be able to actually get a little bit more out of it. You know, that the Pentastar V6 is a really good engine. We've gotten questions for the LX market for that supercharger, but being that the snout would have to be redesigned and a couple other things like a hood clearance, this wouldn't fit under there. So I know I get that question a lot on Facebook.
You know, it's a good too we didn't touch off on, which is really important, is unlike our competitors, if you look here, we actually have a notch. This notch you see right here is actually for the oil filter, and our competitors don't do that. So our competitors, when it comes time to change your oil filter, you actually have to remove the supercharger and or their front end assembly or snout. That's right. Which is a huge pain in the butt. Our engineers thought about that. We made a little notch out, doesn't affect performance, but yet gives you the convenience to be able to change your filter without having to remove a bunch of other components, that's huge. Yeah. I did got a couple more questions. I have Jeff is asking about whose calibration is in it. Like Eddie said, it's actually, we have a team of calibration engineers that work here, that actually right below us on the stage, and they're the ones that handle it. So this is done all in-house over a period of anywhere from 3 months to 4, 5, 6 months, depending.
They really focus on the drivability. I mean, it goes from actually getting dyno numbers to altitude testing to, you know, they go out to the desert and they actually do, you know, in 100+ degree weather, they sit there and scorch it out just to make sure the calibration is running right, especially for the automatic guys. They really work on it being just very linear. It doesn't buck or kick or anything like that.
Well, and they spend a lot of time to get you guys really it's the best combination of the most power, emissions legal, best drivability. It's really that kind of like pie chart, if you can imagine, to find that sweet spot in the middle where we're getting you the most power, but yet we're also being emissions legal, but yet also too, it's not undrivable or has weird drivability issues, you know. So really all of our calibrations, any of our supercharger systems are done in-house by our team. I think that's about it. No other questions.
What size motors?
So we got, what size right size motors. So this is for the Jeep 3.6 liter Pentastar. So I know a lot of guys ask us about the 3.8, which was the engine before this, and unfortunately we don't support that, just because that engine's got kind of it's got a known for not being the strongest engine. So we could build a supercharger, but yet the power gain you would get from it wouldn't be worth the money you would pay. Honestly, like the engine doesn't have a strong bottom end, so you can't get as much power out of it really make it worth it. So we
And
only
it wouldn't
have it right
justify
now.
all the development and all that kind of stuff.
And then, you know, for you guys who are watching, we'll give you a little sneak peek. Is we're actually this is, like I said, this is for 2012 to 17. We are working on the 2018 and up, which would be the JL platform. So it is in process. I'm not going to give you a time frame when it's going to be ready, because I don't want you guys getting all crazy and ask us. But it is something that's in our fleet. We're working on it. We know it's the exact same engine. It's just when they change the chassis, there's some issues, and we gotta redesign a few components, which takes time. So, you know, JL guys, it's coming.
It's coming. Yep.
In 2019, I can't tell you when. I'm not going to commit to it, but it is on its way.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week. If you guys have any questions or maybe some suggestions for future shows, I know we always get a bunch of comments on these videos. This was pretty much a comment from somebody that suggested it last week. So if you guys have any suggestions for future shows, just shoot us a comment and we'll see you guys next week.
We're listening, so comment below and we'll put it on the agenda.
All right. See you guys later.